Here are 10 of the dumbest criminals who actually exist. Number 10. Here's a better photo. Many people don't like bad pictures of themselves floating on the internet. Hence the reason Facebook allows people to delicately handle tagging privileges. However, how vain can someone actually be? A man suspected of arson and vandalism actually sent a better-looking photo to police because he found the photo of himself on the arrest warrant ugly. Donald Chip Pugh texted the police another photo and actually wrote these words. Here is a better photo. That one is terrible. Seriously, this happened in real life. Police in Lima, Ohio posted the photos to their Facebook page and asked for help in locating Pugh. The police department thanked him on their Facebook page for being helpful, but asserted that they really needed him to turn himself in. When asked by a local radio station why he sent the photo, Pugh said that they just did him wrong. Apparently, in his words, he looked like, quote, Thundercat or James Brown on the run in the picture provided by the police. Is it just me, or do most people look a lot different in real life than they do in their social media profiles? Let us know in the comments. And oh yeah, do us a quick favor and hit that like button right there. Number 9. Interview? Sure, why not? If someone's gonna be doing a life of crime, you'd think they'd cut back on the social media, and especially any public TV appearances. Eric Rivers was arrested in connection with the spree of bank robberies in Lawrenceville, Georgia, after he appeared on an on-camera interview with a local news station for an unrelated story about public transit. Police said that Rivers was suspected of having just robbed a Chase bank and was believed to be in the middle of robbing several other banks when he agreed to an impromptu interview with the TV reporter. The thing is, when you do an interview, they ask for your real name, which you don't have to actually give, but this guy decided to anyways. The job for the police was a piece of cake afterwards. Rivers even removed his hat and do-rag for the interview, which he wore during the robberies based on security footage. Police say that after the interview, Rivers proceeded to scope out a Fidelity bank in the area. As police investigated the reported robberies, a bank manager said the suspect walked towards the news truck after leaving the building. Police followed up the lead and simply asked the reporters for his name. And of course, the reporters were happy to help. Please, let's get these people out of the gene pool. Number 8. Nosebeers for no one. You guys ever ingested something you thought was something else? Well, this was essentially what had happened here. Burglars snorted the cremated remains of a man and 2 dogs in the belief that they had stolen, Nosebeers, I guess. The ashes were taken from a lady's house in the central Florida town of Silver Springs Shores. The thieves took an urn containing the ashes of her father and another container with the ashes of her 2 Great Danes, along with some electronics and jewelry. Somehow, the guys thought the ashes contained different types of drugs. What are these guys, rookies? It was later discovered that the burglars were actually dumb enough to actually snort the ashes. Once they realized their error, the guys were supposedly nice enough to think about returning the remaining ashes. Well, that was a nice thought, I guess, but they ended up throwing it in a lake instead, because they thought their fingerprints were on the containers. Police divers were trying to recover the ashes, but let's be real. How do you recover ashes from a lake? Number 7. Compounding errors. A lot of life is just like boxing. Always protect yourself in the ring, no matter what. This situation is no different. A man from Ireland became a contender for Ireland's dumbest criminal as he knocked himself out with a brick while trying to smash a car window. Yep, people like this exist. The guy was found lying in a pool of his own blood by the car's owner. When the car's owner and his girlfriend first saw him, they thought that either someone beat the dude up or that it was a hit-and-run accident. Trying to help, they approached the man, but things took a bizarre twist when the guy tried to blackmail the owner of the car by saying that he was going to say the car owner attacked him. Apparently, he stood up and asked for cab money, which he didn't get. Since the car owner also happened to be the owner of a nearby bar, the man threatened him by saying he'd burn down his bar if he didn't give him money. The car owner decided smartly to get the police involved. Once the police arrived, the guy started claiming again that the car owner attacked him. However, everything was recorded. In the footage, the man can be seen clearly trying to break into the car. At first, he threw a few small rocks at the driver's side window. When that didn't work, he decided to throw as hard as he can with a brick at the passenger side window. Unfortunately for him, it bounced off and smashed him in the face, lifting him literally up off his feet and laying him flat out. You know, we've come a long way as a species, but apparently we still have to work out some kinks. Number 6, burglars have rights too. You'd think that if someone were to rob a place, they'd at least think that they should get in and out as fast as possible. Well, there are always exceptions. A man who broke into a house in Portland, Oregon, decided for some unknown reason to take a shower at the house he broke into. Timothy James Chapek was in the bathroom taking a shower when the homeowner returned to the house. Obviously, the homeowner was surprised and freaked out. Accompanied by 2 German shepherds, the homeowner asked Chapek what he was doing in the house. Chapek locked himself in the bathroom and made an emergency call to the police. Seriously, talk about feeling privileged. He said he'd broken into the house, the owner came home, and that he was concerned the owner might have a gun. The homeowner also called the police to report that he'd found a man in the house. Police with dogs took the burglar into custody without incident. No one said whether the homeowner really had a gun or not. But to be honest, I'd rather be threatened with a gun than with giant German shepherds. Number 5, never forget. In 2008, Kevin Lloyd, a homicide investigator from Los Angeles County, was routinely looking through snapshots of tattooed gang members. But in one of those pictures, he saw something that caught his eye, a literal crime scene he was familiar with. Anthony Garcia had a tattoo that resembled the scene of a liquor store crime in Pico Rivera in January 2004. As bizarre and dumb as it sounds, this tattoo had numerous details of the murder, and this gang member had it tattooed right on him. The tattoo included the Christmas lights that lined the roof of the liquor store where the crime was committed, the bowed street lamp across the way, and street signs. Above everything read the title, Rivera Kills, a reference to his gang. This guy essentially snitched on himself. When the police discovered the evidence on Garcia's chest, they launched an investigation, which was of course followed by the arrest of Garcia. That yielded a first-degree murder conviction in a crime that investigators had initially given up on. Just wow. Number 4, last thing they'll suspect. If you guys were trying to stash a stolen car, the last place you try is the police station, right? Police in Greater Manchester named 2 thieves as Britain's dumbest criminals after they tried to hide a stolen car in one of the police car parks. Officers watched as they tried to drive a stolen white Mercedes into the car park at the police station, but their plan failed when they didn't have an entry fob. Footage showed the driver trying to reverse the vehicle, but 2 police vans came down the ramp behind the car, waiting for their turn to get into the parking area. They quickly jumped out of the car and ran off. It's quite common practice for people who steal cars to hide the cars in parking decks for a few days. Yeah, they chose wrong. The hilarious incident led police officers in the local division to poke fun at the men on the police's official Facebook page, after both of them were found and arrested on suspicion of theft of a motor vehicle and, of course, fleeing police. Number 3, we didn't get an invite? Talk about being at the wrong place at the wrong time. In 2017, 2 guys attempted to stage an armed robbery at a bar in Maryland. There was just one problem. The bar was hosting a retirement party for a police officer, and it was filled to the brim with off-duty cops. Well, this one doesn't really fall under dumb, but really just unlucky. But come on, you gotta scope out the situation first beforehand, right? According to police, the 2 men entered the takeout area of the pub and held up an employee at gunpoint, demanding cash. Meanwhile, dozens of Baltimore County police officers had converged at the bar to celebrate the retirement of a sergeant who worked as a police officer for almost 30 years. The person who was behind the counter just went into that section of the bar where the retirement party was happening and alerted the officers to the fact that there was an armed robbery taking place. Talk about hitting that Staples easy button. The 2 men fled the bar on foot, but didn't make it far before they were caught by police. Luckily, no one was injured during the robbery or the foot chase that followed. Number 2, here's my business card too. An armed robber who hit a gambling den was easily caught by police because, get this, he left his resume behind at the scene. Umar Mirza decided to rob a gambling parlor in Birmingham, UK, after he failed to get the job there. He was able to run off with roughly £17,000, but unfortunately not his resume. He burst into the parlor wearing a hood and a mask. Then he demanded a female worker open the safe by handing her a note that said, "Give him cash." But as he was leaving the parlor, he for some reason removed his disguise. Obviously not the smartest move. In fact, it was the move that allowed police to identify him. Seriously, who are these people? Once management looked at the footage from cameras, they immediately recognized him as someone who had applied for a job there and notified the police, giving them his full resume that he left with them prior to the robbery. When officers searched Mirza's home, they found a fake firearm, the bag, and the threatening note written on a betting slip. Who's the dumbest criminal so far in this video? Let us know your opinion in the comment section. Number 1. Permanent marker? If you're gonna rob a place, it's probably a good idea to have a disguise. However, what type of disguise is important here? Two robbers, Matthew McNelly and Joey Miller, decided to use permanent marker on their face. Seriously. Obviously, they got arrested when they tried to use just a permanent marker to disguise their faces. Does this count as the worst disguise ever? Both guys were arrested by police in Iowa after witnesses reported seeing two men trying to break into an apartment with fake beards and masks drawn on their faces. When police stopped their car, officers were caught by surprise to see two drunk guys with permanent marker disguise on their faces. The guys forgot the key point that the disguise also needs to be able to be taken off so that they can go back to looking like normal people. No wonder the guys were later nicknamed Dumb and Dumber by police. As it turns out, the men were drinking when they came up with the permanent marker idea. Sounds about right. Here's what's next.
Brother Robert killed their father, mother, other two brothers, and a sister. The other sister, 13-year-old Crystal Bever, survived the attack with severe injuries. The attacks happened in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma on July 22, 2015. Shortly before midnight, 12-year-old Daniel Bever called 911 saying that his brother was trying to kill him.